What's up, guys? This is Coach Smith, bringing you guys something a little bit different than what I normally do. I'm actually bringing you a draft champions. This is unranked. I don't play enough to really buy tickets and all that kind of stuff for the ranked, so this is just an unranked game, and this is probably the first non-connected franchise game I've played probably since November or October. It has been a while, and they just updated Draft Champions, and the patch just dropped as well. It's probably the first game after the patch, so I figured I'd give it a shot. And so I'm just kind of here to give my initial impressions and kind of talk about Draft Champions and just the state of the mindset of most Madden players. So this game, they said, they tuned up run blocking and things of that nature. So I just really wanted to focus this game on, or really this round of draft champions, on building good offensive defensive lines and really kind of testing that out. So that's why I make some of the choices I make, such as I think I get like four, elite guards and four defensive linemen as opposed to mixing it up a little bit. Like I think I have two picks on wide receivers and that's it, and they were lower ranked. So the patch, I didn't really have a whole lot of issue with nickel blitz because I do play in more CFMs than not. I don't really dive a whole lot into the cesspool that is ranked play or draft champions. I will when the game first comes out, so late August till about October, and I'll do that basically just to experiment with things like I'm basically doing in this video, and kind of go from there right into my CFMs with the guys that I play with. But there are more guidelines, and people actually have a football brain instead of trying to play Madden. And you'll see that a couple of times in this game that I'm going to show you here. But so the patch came down, and the game was getting really irritating to me, based on the fact that I would always make a focus to have really good defensive lines and offensive lines in my CFM, and it didn't seem like it did a whole lot. Um, so I was almost at the point where waiting on this patch, if it didn't fix things, I'll probably reduce my CFM play and just kind of play CFM, maybe one or two leagues just to kind of wet the palate, so to speak. And then I think all in all, they succeeded with this patch. The cloud flats play a lot better against the corner strike, so if you play online or even an opponent really in CFM, you don't have to worry about corners that much anymore. And I don't care what they say. I think they actually tuned reaction time for safety since they normally have the speed. I think safeties and cornerbacks in general on the deep ball react a little bit faster and a little bit better. Options seem to play a little bit better. So all in all, I think this patch, I give the patch an A plus. All in all, it's not where I want it to be, obviously with the game, but I think defensive line, offensive line can still really use some retooling and things of that nature. But um, all in all, the patch, fixed a lot of the problems that I have with the game. And I watched the stream the other day where Rex was talking about, the fixes they made. They said they included a buffer in a previous patch that allowed defensive linemen or linebackers or anybody, I guess, on defense to not be blocked for a brief period of time after they got a block shed. How much sense does that make? I'm glad they changed that, and that made all your inside zones work. And I have actually more footage with where I have Chip Kelly's offense running a lot of inside zone and traps and things of that nature, and they work 10 times better. And I guess that's the reason is because guys wouldn't double team correctly after a block shed or wouldn't pick guys up after they broke free. So just a lot of issues and decisions that were made by the EA team and Rex and company that I'm just not sure on. So the fact they did this patch, and they did it pretty timely. I mean, the game probably screwed up, back in December, and we only had to deal with a month. And people were saying, "Oh, they had to wait till after the Madden Bowl." Well, of course. I mean, there was $75,000 in the line. You don't want to make major changes, a week before, that kind of money is being put up. So, but this is one of those guys that had about 3 or 4 plays, and once they were stopped, he, kind of went back and struggled on offense. I think he scored a touchdown, but it was kind of a fluky touchdown, which you'll see here in a minute. But the big thing I wanted to test this game was corner strikes, cloud flats, how to cover 2 play. Cover 3 match is actually my new favorite defense. Since the patch, I liked it um, let's see, probably October or so. I really liked it, and then all the other patches came in to kind of mess with the zones a little bit, and cover 3 match didn't really work as well anymore. But since the patch, it seems to have worked really well. And I put some of these run plays in because I also want to talk about, you know, using a linebacker or and things of that nature. Um, I feel there's too much freedom when using a linebacker, and I take advantage of it. Don't get me wrong, but guys can cover so much ground in such little time, and there's a couple times on counter plays where he stops me in the backfield because he squeezed between two offensive linemen. And that shouldn't be the case. He calls the same play. Literally, the whole game is this cover 4, and then he'll eventually switch up to cover 3 or cover 2. But outside of that, that was it. And again, I was focusing more on the running game, so I didn't really pass a whole lot. But why in the world can he call one play and it be fixed? I just don't understand. So, um, whenever I count the game of Madden and I look at the caliber of player that plays ranked, and then I realize, hey, these are the guys that EA caters to, and it's really quite sad, and this is the big play, but it's really quite sad that they listen to these guys about a video game that's supposed to simulate football, I think a lot of times guys think they know more about football than they actually do, including myself. But that's still no excuse for us to, you know, complain about every little thing and actually throw an interception. The drive, that's why he's got the ball back, so in case it's a little bit jarring. But we pretend we know football more than we do sometimes, and I think that's a detriment to the game. People complain about the sack fumbles for quarterbacks. Well, I mean, that's a thing. You can't throw the ball late. So the game took a big hit when they decided to get rid of that, again, for the online sim community, or not sim community, but the online community. And look at this, he's rushing 2 guys, and had I held on to the ball, he would have had a sack against 5. Things like that just have to be addressed, all in all. I understand there's a lot that goes on with these games. It's not like basketball where you only have 10 guys going on the field all at one time, basically doing the same thing. Either they're posting up or they're shooting or screening. Those are, the basic 3 motions everybody's got to worry about when they play, a basketball game. But in football, there's so many different positions, so many starting stances, so many different things to include, and technique-wise and positioning and, a larger field to play with to try to make all that stuff work. And I think the direction Madden needs to go, obviously, is with Frostbite coming in next year. I think that we have real potential to see big improvements in the run and offensive and defensive line interactions and things of that nature, but we'll have to see. I don't know. Sometimes I love this game, sometimes I hate it, and it's getting to the point for me where I have to really ask myself if it's worth my time to play a game like this. But all in all, I love football so much, and football season's not in, so I need to get that football fixed somehow. And Madden's probably the best way to do that. So that's what I'm going to stick to. And he gets bailed out right here as we come to the end of the game. But I just wish that more football was implemented. I put out a video a couple weeks ago about Madden needing more consistency, and I got a little bit of backlash from that because people were saying, oh, you want a perfect game and everybody do everything perfect, and that's not really the case. I just want it to emulate football, and I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. So I think long term, if Madden just really works on, offensive defensive line interactions, and fixing man coverage, which I can do a separate video on later, but things like that, I think the game will go a long way. Alright, so this is kind of me ranting, and A+ on the patch, though. It fixed a lot of things. It made it feel more like out of the box day one. So kudos to the EA team. I'll never understand some of the decisions they make, but it's all good. I'll see you guys in the next CFM. Thanks.